Welcome back everyone. On this video I'm going to be doing a little bit of chipping off and re-rendering of this plinth. I also call it a base. But yeah, had a bit of a 2 week break there due to COVID. Didn't want to be coughing down this microphone to use. Also wasn't working, so wasn't recording anything at all. So appreciate everybody that give me all the well wishes and shared some of your bad experiences with COVID as well. So appreciate that, guys. And like I say, I always read all the comments, even if I don't get replying to them. I always get them read, and will try my best to reply to everybody. So what we're doing on this job is a few areas have went post. A bit on the back and a wee bit around the front steps. So obviously I went ahead, I've chipped everything off. I've given it all good dust down, guys. That's plastering 101 right there. Make sure and release all the dust. You don't want to be rendering or plastering over any dust. So dusted it all down. And you can actually see, if you look closely at the block work there, I've painted a wee bit of SPR on the block as well. Before I did chip it, I ran the grinder along that little bell cast at the top, and I just went past where it was boast and cut it with a grinder as well. And the reason for that is, if you don't do that and you just start going at it with a hammer and bolster or a Kango, it can just keep going off, guys, because you will, them tools are designed to take render off and things. So if you just keep going, you will actually take bits off that don't need to come off, that are still solid and sound. But a good check would be necessary, just before you have a bit of a plan before you just jump in to start taking things off. Maybe mark out a few areas with pencil, and then you can cut them with a grinder and chip it all off without damaging anything that's actually good. But I'm past all them stages on this section, and just enjoying coating on some nice sand cement. The ratio I went for is 3:1. Some people think it's too strong, but been using it for 20 years. I haven't had any issues with anything blowing off, so fingers crossed. Obviously everybody makes mistakes and stuff too, but 3:1 with the plaster and sand that I'm using has always worked fine for me. If you've been using 4:1 and it's working for you with a top 5:1, keep doing what's working, guys. But if you're new, you can try my ratios out. If you don't want to try it on a big job, do it on a wee test somewhere. Come out, leave it a month or two, check it, see what you think. But again, I have tons and tons of mixing videos on the channel with all different mixes, slurry mixes, rendered mixes, scratch coat, the whole lot. Very important, guys, as well. Give it a good key up for the top coat. Doing this in 2 sections. So this is that front I was telling you about. Did do this job quite some time back. As you can see, it's a bit colder on this day, but the day that I come to finish it, actually get some lovely weather. So again, got the good old trusty Makita chipping drill out here, my Kango hammer drill, and it's making pretty good work of this. Have to be careful, guys, if you're doing things like this. You don't want to be busting the slabs. Lovely granite sort of paving stones on these steps as well, and I certainly don't want to lift them up. That's why I'm taking it off a wee bit, staying in the middle and not trying to bust anything that I'll have to replace and fix. Again, the reason for this was some of this plaster had started, it actually looked like it had just been washed away over time. Although this house isn't actually all that old, it did need tidying up. Some of it's very, very loose. You can see round the corner there, it's about to just pop off. So did need tidied up. The person wanted it tidied up a bit fresher looking. It's the front of the house, of course, and as I showed you, the back there, that literally popped off on its own. Does look quite a weak mix, this one as well, quite soft. So I have to get off the old to be able to put on the new, guys. And like I said, pretty loose, guys. Some of it puts up a fight, alright, but It's not, you know, it's not as solid as something should be, really, as your rendering should be, as my rendering will be. So, you know, it's not taking much effort to get it off in some places. Again, wear a dust mask, gloves, ear defenders. Stay safe, guys. Don't shout at me if you think I'm not wearing these safety things. I always do try my best to wear them. But I'm outside, it's not as bad, but no excuse, guys. Get your masks on and your goggles, everything, all safety. You really should look after yourself. So again, all off, dusted down, and just still have some mix. So you'll find when you're doing these wee razors, guys, that you'll need something small to get in there. Sometimes a small tool or a wee margin trowel comes in very handy. Sometimes small tools are better than big ones. As you can see, they fit in perfect. But yeah, so there we go, guys. Just getting it slapped in. You can see there's still a wee bit of SBR still on it. I like to get over the SBR when it's still wet. If it dries, you're not going to get no bond, guys, because the bond's already dried. SBR is not PVA. It's a world between. SBR is a waterproof glue. It can be used in tanking kits. It's, you know, it makes your render stronger if it's in the render. But basically what I'm saying, guys, is gotta make sure you plaster over SBR when it's wet. If it's dry, there's no bond. All you've done is seal the surface. Yes, that might help, but it ain't gonna give you no chemical bond. So make sure if you're looking that bond, you're going over it when it's still wet. Be that if you're going to do a big wall, just do areas before it dries, get it coated, paint the other area, just do it in sections, you know, it doesn't have to be complicated. Life's only complicated if we make it complicated, guys, you know. Try and make things easy for yourselves and everything will go a lot smoother. But yeah, just gonna scratch this with the hard brush because my scratcher ain't gonna fit in there. So I'm gonna drag that hard brush, like I showed you earlier, across this, and that will give me the key for the finishing coat. And this wee trowel is absolutely brilliant for this gap. Again, I should have knee pads on. I think it was needle on a dust sheet on one part, a little bit softer, but knee pads definitely gonna be good. Again, rubber gloves, guys. I do keep my hands quite clean as I don't like stuff on my handles, so my hands do tend to be pretty clean. So don't shout at me for not wearing rubber gloves, guys. I know you are looking after my health as well, but you know, keep rubber gloves on. It is a better job, yep, for sure. But just getting scratch coat on. This is a 2-day process. You can do it in 1 day, but its better strength is if you scratch it a day or two previous, and you come back another dry day and you get your top coat on, which we'll be doing shortly. I'll show you a wee bit of that too. Again, lots and lots of videos on the channel about rendering, scratch coating, the whole lot, even in more detail. I'm probably missing out loads here. Let me know in the comments if I am, what did I miss, what could I have said, what did I miss out, guys. I'd love to hear what I've done wrong. How dare somebody phone me when I'm doing a voiceover. But yeah, guys, tools I'm using, Refina sand cement trowel here, and Plinth hawk. That's funny looking hawk that people think looks very strange because they're used to looking at a Marshalltown hawk or a Draper plastic hawk, which are pretty good because they're light. But this thing has lasted quite some time. It hasn't bowed or went out of shape, and in my opinion it's helped my elbow with the shape of handle. But yeah, it's up to yourselves, guys. Tools you use, whatever's most comfortable, I say stick with it. Whatever's reliable, I say stick with it. So far Refina trowels have been one of the most reliable trowels I've ever came across, so definitely gonna stick with them. These be Japanese trowels I'm using here. They're just very handy for, you know, these wee small areas. Sometimes, guys, the attention to detail with these wee trowels and stuff really sets a job off. You can't really overlook small areas. You know, if you're plastering a full room and it's got this wee tiny bit in the corner, you know, sometimes it's worth spending that wee bit of time, maybe that wee bit of money on that trowel or that tool that will fit that area, make life easier in the long run. I do have a video, I'm going to update that video, where I actually turned an old Marshalltown into a midget trowel, and the many jobs I've used that on, I couldn't tell you, it's been quite a lot, and it has saved me so much time, so much heartache. Not until you're doing small areas, guys, do you realise how important they are and how important it is to use the right tool for the right job. You know, can't really stress that enough. Right, so here we are, lovely day like I promised. I've used the refined serrated edge, trying to get things to set up quick for myself, so I can get straight back onto it with the float. Not a massive job, you know, it's only a couple of small yellow buckets of mortar, as you can see. So you kind of want smaller jobs, guys. You do wee things to try and speed yourself up, and the quicker you get it on, the quicker you can get the float and the sponge onto it and get it finished, and then you can spend time cleaning up and finishing the job to perfection. Somebody was laughing at this float. I'm going to have to break another float in. I have been using Refina's diamond float quite recently in recent videos there about rendering in the cold, and hopefully there's a couple of storms here at the minute, but hopefully they pass and they bring some real nice weather. Do have upcoming jobs, brick effect render, chip off and re-render gable, things like that. If you're interested, I'll probably upload them. I did do a brick effect render job there recently. What's brick effect render? Sorry, some of you probably haven't watched them videos. Brick effect render is where I make a wall look like bricks with render, and I call it brick effect render. It's basically fake brick, but it looks more real than the real thing. I did do a job with that, and I was able to save 75% of the footage, and then when it came to finishing it, I lost the whole process of finishing, carving it out and finishing it, which was 25% of the video, basically the highlight of the video. So I've lost the footage of that brick effect render job, so I don't really know why the camera did what it did, but sometimes me and technology is not very compatible. The camera basically reformatted itself, and what that means is it deletes everything off the memory card, so I lost everything, including some where I was bonding and skimming over ceilings. I was gonna do a real good video on getting rid of texture ceilings. Do have a couple of them on the channel, but again, wanted to go into a couple of different wee details and stuff. But I'm sure them jobs come up again. I'm sure them videos will come up again, and we'll get them done. Again, is that what you just want to see? You just have to let me know. I do try and upload the stuff you want to see the most, which does tend to be sand and cement. I'm not gonna lie, sand and cement seems to be what everybody wants to watch on this channel. Very high up on all the sort of the demographics. You know, it seems to do best on the channel. The rendered wall, hard to finish render, it seems to be what people are interested on the channel. Some skimming videos have done well, but I think most people coming here are trying to learn rendering, so I think I will try and focus on that this year. But also wanting to dive into a couple of other wee things, like I dropped a picture there on the channel recently, like a post where it shows you something that I'm making, and I'll potentially upload that if it looks good. If it doesn't look good, I might not upload it. But basically, guys, you can see what I'm doing in the background here. Rubbing up the sand and cement. It's, you know, it's still sort of soft, so I'm just going easy on it. If you render soft, you wanna have a wee bit of finesse. You don't want to be pushing too hard. If your render's picking up, you're gonna have to put a bit more muscle in. You're gonna have to really get it flattened in and fill in the holes, and it will take a bit more muscle. But like I said, used the straighter edge here, got it on, straightened up, took tea, came back, trying to, waste your time right, you don't really want to be wasting time, so you want to try and manage your time. Whereas I threw this all on, then got myself something to eat, came back, and it's a lot drier. Instead of going to it earlier, old boss of mine, that fella used to say, you're only rubbing holes in it. You're only rubbing holes in it. Basically, if you rub the render too early, it can, the float will dig in. You move the render, in the wavy positions and stuff. So timing is very vital with rendering. Again, plastering 101, rendering 101. I will try and upload more on these aspects and dive into even more detail. I know a lot of you appreciate the detail that I get into in the video, and sometimes I do waffle on, talk about things that aren't really related to the video, but again, some people are just enjoying watching the plastering process being done as well. So once I get this all rubbed up, spending time on this corner, feathering it in as a wee bit just went round. And again, the wee bits of detail, guys, really make a difference and set the job off. Very hard to patch render, which I have done here. I have patched it. You might notice it's not a straight line. That's done on purpose, guys. And this is a big tip for you. If you are going to do patches, a diagonal line will not show up as much as a straight line. A straight line will catch your eye from a mile away. A diagonal line will take a more trained eye to try and find that. So that's a big tip for you, especially for render. Skin is a different story, because you can feather that in, or you can really cut back that corner flush tight back to the original. And when it's painted, skin's a lot finer than sand and cement. Sand and cement is a coarse type of finish. Not coarse, you can trail it back in again, leave it a bit smooth. But sand and cement, if you run your hand down that wall and run your hand down a skimmed wall, there's a big difference. One, you'll have skin left, and the other, you'll be looking at your flesh. So just refine the sponge floating it up here, guys. This sponge float's quite nice, leaving a nice fine finish. I've been using all sorts of sponge floats, and some work nicer for different things. I used to just use the car body, the wee car sponges that you clean your car with. I would normally use them because they're pretty nice, but sponge floats, for different jobs, come in very handy. As you can see, guys, previous clip, this clip, sheets down, I'm covering up as best I can, but again, you will need to spend a good hour cleaning up. The more time you give yourself cleaning up, the better the finished job will be, believe me. So, if that means you actually stop at 3 o'clock, stop at 1 o'clock, if it's a short day, you can finish at 1 o'clock, just give yourself an hour to clean up. Very important. I've always sort of done that. Again, that's been from people who I learned off, people who I worked alongside, even a builder. He's electrician by trade, but does quite a lot of sort of building jobs and kitchens and stuff. And he's one of the ones always the same thing. He'd spend an hour covering up, which is probably funny for electricians. Don't usually do this. I hope there's some watching and taking notes to actually clean up the job when you're finished. Don't leave piles of rubble down everywhere and snips of wire for people to trip over. But yeah, all the good tradesmen clean up after themselves, guys. So I'm always going to tell you the best advice that I have, and that's leave a clean job, leave it handy for the next guy, be it clean out your sockets and door frames washed down and stuff. Yes, if a socket's live, don't risk sticking anything in there to clean it out, let it go. Spark will know more about that than you will, as he's qualified and trained to work with electrics. But yeah, didn't didn't expect this video to run so long. Just been enjoying talking with you, and hope you have enjoyed this little rendering video, and more to come, of course, as always. Let me know what you want in the comments. I'll probably do a little voting poll soon on a few videos that I might have upcoming, and see what comes out on top will definitely be uploaded as usual. But let you see the finished job here, and how when you clean up, how well it actually looks before you leave.